Broadcasting live from, I literally forgot the name again.
Gateway Plaza.
Thank you. On the plain of Ravnica, this is Tap Tap Concede.
Sounds like a mall, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I would
Come
shop
on
at
down.
Gateway. Come on, they got,
Yeah,
I
come
bet
on
you they have
down
a
to the
Radio
Kia
Shack.
dealership at Gateway Plaza Mall.
the Orzhov outlet stores at Gateway Plaza. It's a functional reprint of Rupture Spire and Transguild Promenade, except those were exactly the same. This is almost the same, but it's also a gate, which is neat and relevant for cards in Guilds of Ravnica. And I just had to have Cam tell me what the name was 3 times. Gateway Plaza.
Mall.
Okay, cool. Yes, Gateway Plaza. Mall and theme park. There's
Go
a
down to the
Cinnabon.
food court.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gateway Plaza. The Cinnabon is not in the food court, though.
No, it's near the entrance across from like the Max.
It doesn't look like a very popular place.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 4 people outside.
Yeah, maybe we could
That
get
was like the parking
an
lot.
abandoned malls video about Gateway Plaza.
Yeah.
How many malls? Now
The
I want to
art
know how
reminds
many
me
malls
of-
are called Gateway Plaza.
The art reminds me of, I can't remember the name of the actual place, but the in Mainframe
Oh yeah,
In-
in Reboot.
in Reboot, the central where Fong lived. That the thing, because it's like a bowl,
Yeah,
and then like
yeah.
a floating thing in the. These are super important references. Hey everybody, welcome to Tap Tap Concede. I'm Graham.
I'm James.
I'm Cameron.
And we have much to discuss today, which is fun. All sorts of different news and things about Guilds of Ravnica and the PPR and various goings-on in the world of Magic, which we will do. But first, I will remind you that the show is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR for all of your card and kingdom needs. They'll ship sealed product anywhere in the U.S., singles anywhere in the world, and they do it real fast, and it's great. And if you let them know, Loading Ready Run sent me, button please, you'll get a little 1-inch button, which I think they're just doing it randomly at the moment, or if they are in order, I don't know what order it's in, but it's either Who Dares Bargle with Yargle, Top Deck Lethal, clap, 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 or Timeout Used.
There's the
I
Gateway
assume-
Plaza in Fort St. John. Now you know.
I think I've been to that A&W.
So, before we get into any of our... oh, right, and of course, sorry, as well as Card Kingdom, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Now, before we get into our topics, let's begin, of course, with a crack-a-pack. Cameron, whoop. Thunk, thunk, thunk. What do we got?
10.
10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, see, I can't actually count like that, though. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Morningtide.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, Morningtide. This was given to us at PAX South this year by Metalupus.
Oh.
And let's see what's inside this pack of Morningtide. Morningtide was the second of the 4, if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
or no,
the two
third.
the two Lorwyn mini blocks, Lorwyn and
Because it was Lorwyn and Shadowmoor, and then
yes.
Morningtide and Eventide. That's what it was. So this was the third of those sets. And we begin with Weight of Conscience. It's 1 and a white for over there. Other way. There. Come on, card reader, I believe in you.
Yay.
Weight of Conscience. 1 and a white for a creature enchantment. It can't attack. And tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a creature type. Exile that creature. So you can stop it from attacking, and then later, when you get bored of it, you can just make it go away.
Huh.
But only if you have...
2 untapped creatures that share a creature type.
I mean,
Okay, so-
this was a tribal format.
Yeah. So that's fair. I wish it couldn't block as well, but
Yeah.
sure.
But it stops you from being hurt for a little while. Speaking of one of the tribes anyway, Winnower Patrol, 2 and a green for a 3/2 elf warrior. It's fine stats. It also has Kinship. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may look at the top card of your library. If it shares a creature type with Winnower Patrol, you may reveal it. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Winnower Patrol. So just every turn, you just look at the top. You don't have to reveal it. You just look at it, and if it's an elf or a warrior, you go, "Hey, look what I drew this turn," and then the Winnower Patrol gets bigger.
Yeah, it's kind of
That
cool.
actually seems... Yeah, I assumed it was an ETB, but at the beginning of each upkeep, that might have been okay.
It seems really good. Reminds me of Explore.
I think Kinship was a sweet mechanic.
Yeah.
I could definitely see it coming back at some point. One of the other tribes, sort of, was the Elementals. This is Seething Pathblazer. 2/2 for 2 and a red Elemental Warrior. Sacrifice an Elemental, and Seething Pathblazer gets +2/+0 and first strike until end of turn.
Seems pretty decent.
I'm sure people have already written comments, but just to let you know, it went Morningtide, or it went Lorwyn Morningtide,
Oh, I was right the first time.
Yeah.
and then so this was the second.
It was Lorwyn Morningtide, Shadowmoor Eventide.
Yeah, it was all the good stuff. Then it went all bad.
That's what
Right, yeah, because the world flips, right?
Yeah. Like Brigadoon.
Seelie/unseelie.
Brigadoon just disappears.
I know. It's not the same thing. Yeah. Seething Pathblazer seems fine. Final Sting Fairy. 3 and a black for a 2/2 flyer. Sure. When it comes into play, destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn. Yeah, right?
It's not bad.
Sure. I always forget how small the fairies on Lorwyn actually are.
Yeah, like this guy is sitting on a toadstool.
Yeah, like they're quite wee.
And yet, same power and toughness as a bear. Doesn't make any sense.
No,
Probably has something to do with that sword.
they're very strong. Latchkey Fairy, this one was a cool one. 3 and a blue for a 3/1 flyer. When it comes into play, all right, sorry, I should do this in a different order. 3 and a blue for a 3/1 flyer. It also has Prowl, which was a weird mechanic, but its Prowl is 2 and a blue. You may play this for its Prowl cost if you dealt combat damage to a player this turn with a fairy or rogue. And then when it comes into play, if its Prowl cost was paid, you draw a card. So it's not only is it cheaper, you also draw a card if you Prowl this one.
Yeah.
Which, huge incentive to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, pay off for the fairy deck, or for the rogue deck.
There were some goblin rogues because Prowl was in blue and black. if I
Yeah,
recall
and there
correctly.
were black goblins. But yeah, I mean, I remember playing with this guy in Modern Masters originally. It could be good, or it could be like, I'm paying retail for this and not drawing a card. My life is awful.
Yeah.
I mean, if you play this one first, then you have another one. You feel okay,
Yeah.
as long as you get in.
Lunk Errant.
Okay.
I've never seen this before. 5 and a red for a 4/4 giant warrior. Whenever Lunk Errant attacks alone, it gets +1/+1 and trample until end of turn.
Really,
not-
aren't all lunks errant?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
seems fine.
It seems okay, yeah.
Yeah. One's plenty, observed the Marrow. Way too plenty, agreed the Boggart. Marrow were merfolk. And Boggarts were goblins.
I guess this is a little like Exalted.
Yeah, kind of. I mean,
It's its own exalted.
Yeah,
its own Exalted.
Aren't all lunk errants exalted in their own hearts?
in their own mind, yeah.
Yeah.
when you're playing a red deck, you're not. It feels like you're not super excited to just attack with one creature, especially at 6. Like I feel like if you're playing a red deck and you're casting a 4/4 for 6 on turn 6 and attacking with it, it's like not maybe the best, but I don't know.
Maybe a 5/5 trample is just what you need.
Yeah.
Mudbutton Clanger is a 1/1 Goblin Warrior for a single red mana. With kinship, at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it shares a creature type, which is Goblin Warrior, with Mudbutton Clanger, you may reveal that if you do, Clanger gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
Not as good as
Not
the
a
other
counter.
one.
No, so it's a potential 1-drop bear, but not great.
Remember that there's the tribal enchantments and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's also
Oh,
true.
right,
yeah.
yes, yeah.
Stony Brook Banneret,
Hey!
1/1 for 1 and a blue Merfolk Wizard with Island Walk. Merfolk and Wizard spells you play cost 1 generic less.
Silver Gill Adept, best friends.
Oh yeah, wow. Shine Wind. I don't remember this. Therese Nelson, look at this. 1 and a white for a 0/0 with flying. Comes into play with a +1/+1 counter on it. And for 1 and a white and remove a counter from it, destroy target enchantment.
I mean,
So that's super interesting because that is different from, say, Keening Apparition or Silver Chase Fox or whatever, which is the 1/1 for 2, sack it to destroy an artifact.
yeah.
Because, yeah, if you can load more counters on, or sorry, enchantment. If you can load more counters on it.
They're 2/2s. They're all bears.
Yeah. But this one has flying.
This one has flying.
I just mean, like, why not just make you sack it rather than this counter shenanigans?
I mean, I kind of want to load up 1/1 or 2 mana flyers with counters anyways. And then if I assume something problematic comes out, you can blow it away and continue crashing.
Also, I like the idea of something that's the size of a lamb, but then has butterfly wings that large. 3 pairs of butterfly wings that large.
Elemental with butterfly wings.
Yeah. Wow, I've never seen this card before, and that is disgusting. Fester Creep
I knew this guy.
is deeply unpleasant to look at. Similar effect, actually. 1 and a black for a 0/0 elemental. Comes into play with a +1/+1 counter on it for 1 and a black and remove a counter. All other creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn.
I like this one better than the white one.
Yeah, all other creatures.
It is, yeah. So it's your creatures
Wow.
as well, but
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, I don't know if there were a whole lot of ways of getting more counters on things, but
Not until Wither was in the second pair, and I don't believe they were drafted together. Like
Right.
you drafted Lorwyn and Morningtide together, and then Shadowmoor and Eventide together.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
The whole place really feels like a hostile realm, which is not coming up on the card reader, so my joke is sort of delayed somewhat. It's 2 and a red for a land enchantment. Enchanted land has tap. Target creature can't block this turn.
You'd see this with, what was it? The one in Zendikar. Common red lands. ETB tap.
Smoldering Spires?
Yeah. One of
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was because the other one was Teetering Peaks,
Teetering
which was
Peaks
the +2.
gave +2. Yeah.
It's cheaper than I would have expected, to be honest.
Yeah.
For some reason, I expected this to cost 5 and be terrible. This is 3 and not great.
I mean, I could see this being a pain.
Sen's Tactician is a 1/1 for a single white Kithkin soldier. For a white and tap, put a +1/+1 counter on target soldier, and each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it can block an additional creature. All right.
Okay.
Cool. At worst, it can pump itself up and just do a lot of blocking. Sage's Dowsing is 2 and a blue for a tribal instant wizard. There you go. So it's,
yeah.
it's an instant and a wizard, kinda. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. If you control a wizard, draw a card.
Huh. That's almost good.
Yeah. So this doesn't count as controlling the wizard. It doesn't count
No.
itself for that. But if you have something that says whenever you cast a wizard spell, or if you have, say, that Stony Brook Banneret that makes wizard spells cheaper,
Yeah.
then this only costs you 2 mana.
Yeah, and it's a mana leak that draws a card.
And the Stony Brook Banneret is itself a wizard, so that's just this combo's off.
Yeah.
It's-
Oh, yeah. Unstoppable powerhouse.
Yeah.
I'm,
Is a wizard spell kind of redundant?
look, Paul.
Yes.
there's other spells.
Warren Weirding
Oh yeah.
is also one that showed up in Modern Masters, I believe. 1 and a black for a tribal sorcery, Goblin. Target player sacrifices a creature. If a goblin is sacrificed this way, that player puts 2 1/1 black goblin rogue creature tokens into play, and those tokens gain haste until end of turn. So really, you're doing this to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you could also edict your opponent, you know,
If you
in a
have to.
pinch. But
Yeah.
this modal card, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, you can just make them sacrifice whatever, and if it's not a goblin, they don't get more goblins.
Yeah.
But if you do it, if you have, I don't know, maybe they put that pacifism effect on your
Yeah.
thing, and you sacrifice your own goblin and get 2 goblins, and you've cast a goblin because it's a tribal sorcery. It's weird.
Or you just crashed in with a goblin and you need a couple of goblins back to block.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
There's a wolf token. I don't know if that's going to come up, but we also have our rare is, what is this? Cream of the Crop. I have never seen this. Cream rises to the top.
Cream.
1 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever a creature comes into play under your control, you may look at the top X cards of your library, where X is that creature's power. If you do, put one of those cards on top of your library and the rest on the bottom in any order.
I like it.
I don't like it either.
Yeah. It's green. It's what green card advantage looks like, but it's kind of meh.
Yeah.
This is the worst Sylvan library I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe the crop has gone bad.
Yeah.
The cream got left out for too long.
So scribe, but you only keep 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can make sure to set up your kinship.
Maybe?
If you just chain
But-
creatures together, then you get to
yeah.
play a bunch of creatures every turn for sure, probably.
Maybe this worked if you were in the kinship deck and you were just like,
I don't know. Maybe this is fine. Like,
I don't have a good sense of how fast this format was.
No, I have no idea.
It seems like a lot of little dudes and then occasionally a giant shows up.
I'm probably taking the Edict.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would take the one of the fairies,
Latchkey Fairy?
maybe.
It's like-
yeah. I mean, got a rep.
I think
or
it's-
the Banneret, really.
I mean, Latchkey Fairy is definitely the best blue card here.
I think I want
Sense
to.
Tactician seems okay.
I think I want to stake out Merfolk, right? Because you had to be conscious of tribal cards.
That's true. That's true.
And I
thought
think
that.
like Stony Brook Banneret actually did a lot of work with like the Merfolk deck.
I believe it. Okie dokie.
Also, if the creature has 1 power, you just look at the top card of your library and put it back.
Right. Yes, you do. Blah. It's not great selection.
If you do put one of those cards, yeah. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, if you cast something with 1 power, you just
Parry.
go, oh, neat.
Then you
and
get to
put it
see
back.
what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. You look at the top card and you're like, scoop.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Was it the Halimar Depths?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at the top 3 cards and then concede the game.
Yep.
Yeah. So, well, that was super cool. We had the pre-release super early. The pre-release for Guilds of Ravnica. Ordinarily, we'd be doing the pre-release
Today.
or on some occasions tomorrow. But instead, we did it 2 days ago because this weekend is the World Championships. More on that in a minute. And it's a time of recording. You're hearing this on Monday because that's when the podcast goes up. But we had the pre-release. It was a lot of fun. We had great guests in. We all had a blast playing. The set seems really, really cool. We might talk about it for a bit, but if you are interested in some more in-depth breakdowns, we have 2 of the pre-release recap videos that we've done before that are sort of like, they're just kind of like an episode of Tap Tap Concede, but with a different variety of people and our out-of-town guests as well. And so 2 of those will be going up over the course of this week between now and the pre-release as videos on the Loading Ready Run channel. So if you're watching this in video form, it's here. Keep an eye on this channel. If you're listening to us audio only, check out the YouTube channel.
Yep.
And also the replay on the YouTube version is already online. We'll link it below. It is on the Loading Ready Live Replays channel. It is a slim 6.5 hours.
It's not bad,
Ooh,
actually.
yeah, actually, that's-
Like,
yeah,
it-
that's-
it's on the short side.
And there's definitely some
good.
definitely some powerful magic. I wasn't on either of those recaps, so I'll just say I had a lot of fun.
Anything you want to talk about?
Convoke is sweet. There's definitely some confusion I've already seen in the comments on that replay video that Convoke, unlike Improvise,
Yes.
which was more recent in Kaladesh, which you can use artifacts to tap for the generic mana of spells with Improvise. Convoke, you absolutely can cast a you
Colored
can
mana pip.
tap. Yeah, you can tap a green creature to pay for a green pip. Because there's the +3/+3 combat trick, like pack something about pack strength. It's a giant wolf. I'm trying to
remember. I thought I had
Pax
it, but I
right,
can't.
yeah.
Pack's Favor, thank
There
you.
it is.
So it's 2 and a green for an instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 till end of turn with Convoke, and I absolutely cast that with no mana up because I just went, well, I'm going to tap. I block with this and then tap that and 2 other creatures, and now it's huge. It's a big surprise.
Yep.
So you really ought to be aware of that one.
Yep. Vigilance is actually the Selesnya keyword.
Yeah, Vigilance is really strong because then you can attack with your creatures and then also tap them for mana. and
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that your opponent can pay for their colored mana pips for Convoke, or you will die to this trick in particular.
Yeah, and this is why stuff like Healer's Hawk, I had 2 of those in my deck because, it's a 1/1 flying lifelink for 1, which is maybe not amazing, and traditionally 1/1s for 1 are not the sort of thing you want to invest in Limited, but getting these out the door quickly allows you to ramp into your 5 and 6 drop Convoke spells.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like in Selesnya, a 1/1 flying lifelink for 1. What about a 1/1 flying lifelink that taps for 1 white?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like that's how you have to evaluate these cards.
Especially if you can get that rare, is it Rhinoceros? What are they? Or is it it's one of the Loxodon, I think, actually. I can't remember. There's a rare with Convoke that when it enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on every creature you tapped to Convoke it.
Oh, right. Yes, this is...
Venerated Loxodon, yeah. That's very good.
Yep.
Especially with the bird. And it's like, oh, suddenly I have a 2/2 flying lifelink, and that's not nothing. That's irritating.
Yeah, Selesnya and Boros live or die by their curves, I think.
Boros seems very strong.
And I think Jumpstart is a good mechanic.
Oh, I think it's unquestionably a good mechanic. I actually think of all 5, the one that sort of underwhelmed me the most was Undergrowth. It was just like kind of
It's much more passive.
it seemed it seemed much more incidental and harder to feed, I guess. Just because it feels like Surveil is awesome as well. Feels like Surveil is great if you can pair it with Undergrowth.
So what you're saying
But-
is Sultai.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the fixing is there.
Yeah. Sultai and Grixis.
Guildgates in every pack.
Go.
Yeah.
Those decks are good. My comment on Jumpstart, which I made in the other video, but I want to reiterate here because I think it's being unfairly maligned, is that each individual card, instant or sorcery with Jumpstart, doesn't have to be as good as Lightning Bolt. What it needs to do is do a thing that is good and also allow your Piston Fist Cyclops to crash in.
Right.
Right? Like, direct current is fine, but what it's really allowing you to do is enable all of your pseudo prowess creatures to like get in there, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So like the Izzet deck, Boros and Selesnya need to curve out. Izzet needs synergies.
Yeah. And you spend the first part of the game casting a bunch of spells with Jumpstart, and then the next part of the game discarding lands you don't need to cast all those spells again.
Yeah.
That seems very good.
Yeah, when
you,
your opponent,
you get twice as many spells now.
Yeah, when your opponent's looking at 3 direct currents in the bin, they have to consider that that's repping 6 damage to the dome.
Yeah. So, yeah, also, what an awkwardly named card.
Yeah, between this and We Dragonauts, I think we're learning some things about Ral Zarek here.
Piston Fist Cyclops. What? Anyway. So, yes, much more, like I said, much more thoughts and reflections on Guilds of Ravnica pre-release coming up this week on the channel. And this won't be the last time we talk about Guilds of Ravnica on Tap Tap Concede either. Once it's out and we've had a chance to actually play some more, I'll be very, very excited to see that. We are, as I mentioned, recording on September 21st, and so one of the things we wanted to talk about today is that on September 27th, Magic Arena goes into open beta. I know it might feel like, see, the people we interact with all the time and the people whose posts I see are very invested in the game to the point that because Arena sent 5 friend codes out to everyone who already was in the closed beta, it feels like everyone's in the beta.
Yeah.
That's not the case.
No.
And so open beta, it's going to be a big change. If you were already in the closed beta, something important you'll need to know is they're doing a wipe. So they're wiping all the accounts back to whatever they consider the baseline. So I assume there will be some pre-constructed decks that you start with, but all the cards, all the collections, all the wild cards, all the gold, any gems you've earned, that's all going away.
Even your deck lists?
Yes, but they have put instructions on how to export your deck lists.
Yeah.
I don't know where to find them, but they're out there
They
somewhere.
exist, yes.
A reminder and a clarification on gems. Any gems you have bought, so any real money that you have put into the closed beta, you do get that back.
Yeah,
In
it's
gem
all
form.
refunded
In gem
you
form.
as a gem.
Yeah,
If
so
you
you
bought
don't
5,000
lose any of your
gems,
money.
Yeah, if you bought 5,000 gems, you will start your new account with 5,000 gems.
Yeah, and there will not be another wipe between open beta and release. So
Barring any unforeseen circumstances,
Yeah.
which is what they said.
Yes.
Just to cover their own ass, which
Yeah.
is fair.
Yeah.
So the plan is now you can really start to go ham, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited for a couple different reasons. One, they added Momir, which is weird because it's only Momir for the cards that exist on Arena, meaning there is one 9-drop and it's Zakama.
Yeah.
And it's Zakama. That's the meta of
So-
Momir is
Yeah.
get to 9 and then try to
Have 3
Zakama
mountains.
your own.
Yeah.
But we had a game where I was going first. I played last night, and so I get my Zakama, and then I pass back, and they get their Zakama, and then it passes back to me. So I spend my whole turn just lightning bolting their Zakama 3 times.
Yep.
And I can't attack because they have like a 7/7 and a 6/6, but they can't attack me because I have a Zakama and I have all these other creatures. And so we just passed back and forth every
coming
turn.
back and forth forever.
Yeah, until I get enough other lands that I can zap their Zakama and make a 3-drop. And then eventually they took a turn off for some reason, and then I just killed everything else that they
I
had.
would love for them to, because my assumption is Momir's going to go away
Yeah.
and not come back with, because I think they're actually removing all the cards that are rotating. Did I read that correctly?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah,
It will
so-
actually be the new standard.
Yeah.
Literally.
And until they figure out eternal formats on Arena, everything that's rotating is going away. Is this going away? Ixalan rotates?
No.
No, so Ixalan doesn't rotate. I would love
It's
Momir to
Amonkhet
make
and
a.
Kaladesh.
I would love Momir to make a comeback, but ban this card. Remove it from the thing. It's just
Yeah.
boring. Like
Yeah.
this is all we did on Lure MTG the other day.
It was just
we,
the combo all
we
the
just
time.
played Momir, and other than the occasions where we got to play the Bells and Lottery, which was a lot of fun, but we only got to do that maybe 2 or 3 times. It was just a race to you literally just play out your Naya lands, you discard all your swamps and all your islands.
I wasn't able to watch. Did you just do
care.
it? Did you just do it that, like, if you happen to get paired with a viewer?
If you got paired with a viewer, if we got paired with a viewer, the viewer would say would emote hello, nice, hello.
Okay.
And that would trigger the Bells and Lottery.
Nice.
Yes,
And then we would just
it's-
do it as usual.
It's like saying Candyman.
Yeah, exactly.
the
Bell,
mirror.
just
That summons Bells and Lock.
Yeah.
real quick. We used to play the Flottery, the Phage the Untouchable lottery on Momir on McGo because it picked every creature on Magic Online, and if you cast Phage but not from your hand, you lose the game. And so the thing is, we would just only do 7 drops and try not to get Phage.
Yeah.
Obviously, Phage is on Arena, so the Bells and Lottery is the same sort of thing because when he enters the battlefield, he just mills your entire deck away, and then you die on your next turn.
Yeah, so you don't die immediately, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So
But you
can-
know it's coming.
But you know it's coming. And there's far less 6 drops on Arena than there are 7 drops on Mitgo.
Yep.
So your chances of... So nobody hit it yesterday, although we did get report... Apparently, and this is great, if there were people out there who were getting paired up with each other, and they were doing the Bells and Lottery.
Nice.
Because they were doing the same, like, 3 emote signal to let them know, which I
Nice.
thought was super great. So,
Or rather, hello, nice hello.
yeah, hello, nice hello.
So that's cool. But I'm very excited, personally very excited, because after they do that wipe and the open beta happens on the 27th, when they add Guilds of Ravnica, they are also adding Sealed.
Yes.
And I love Sealed, and I'm excited to see it in Arena because I know they've also said they're working on the deck building scene, because that's, I think, the area
That's definitely one of the areas
of what they have. That's the area that I think needs the most work.
Agreed.
And now, obviously, adding Modern to Arena, yes, that would be nice, but that's not an area that exists in the client now.
Yeah.
That's a new thing. Of what they have now, the deck building scene needs the most work, and they know that, and they've said that, and so I'm hoping that Sealed will be the chance for them to do that. Also, if you go to a pre-release,
Yep.
there's on the back of some tokens in Guilds of Ravnica packs is a code to do a free Sealed
on Arena.
on Arena. You only get to do 1 per account.
Yeah.
But hey, free
Yeah.
Sealed.
Pretty cool.
So I'm very, very, very excited for that. And I think that was actually.
Have they announced
most of
that
it for Arena.
Arena with the sealed events for Guilds of Ravnica that they're doing the same seeded packs?
I don't know.
I don't remember ever reading that.
I assume so.
I was-
Sealed is going to be a hard row to hoe in... Well, at least, like, a guild-aligned Sealed will be difficult without the seeded pack. You would see a lot more, like, 3-color decks.
I mean,
think.
it's like it's kind of the hook of the pre-release. So I'm just curious if they're doing.
Yeah.
Do you get to pick? Yeah. What? That's a great. Wow, Paul. Good job. Sealed Fate. All right.
Ooh, Therese Nielsen.
Yeah. What an image. So that's the Arena update. I'm very excited for more people to get to experience it. They did a really funny commercial with Day 9 playing Arena while his roommate Danny Trejo just sort of harassed
Which
him.
I'm pretty sure is true to life, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think they live together in that really nice looking apartment.
I also like, someone else noted that Danny Trejo was eating Fruit Loops, and day 9 had some sort of deeply terrible, unexciting, like
Well, it looked like he was eating literal sun chips.
bran crust cereal. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looked like he was eating Sun Chips in a bowl with milk.
Just,
Yeah, bran rubble.
Yeah, I just
Thank you.
as a little sort of a world-building note, I thought that was entertaining.
Yep.
So that's cool. I mentioned we were recording this on September 21st, which is the start of Magic Worlds, which is the sort of one of the marquee, or I'd say probably
It is the
marquee
Yeah.
Magic Premier Play event of the year, where 24 asterisk of the world's best Magic players who earn their way into these spots over the course of the year through various reasons. I think if you win a Pro Tour, or if you are depending on points, if you're the constructed master, the draft master, there's various ways
of
to
getting
earn
in,
your way in, and then you compete over the course of the weekend. They stream everything. They do coverage on the whole event. It's that being this weekend is why the PPR was on Wednesday, of course, as we mentioned. And they're doing, what is it? It's Standard and Dominaria draft?
Yes.
Cool. All right. Now, the asterisk is because mere hours ago this morning, and I'm sure much more will have been made of this by the time that you're hearing this, because there'll be a whole weekend for the discourse to unravel. But Gerry Thompson, who's a pro-level Magic player, and by all accounts, a very nice guy, is protesting basically how Wizards handles professional Magic and professional Magic players by not participating. Which is to say, he's qualified to be one of the 24 participants in Worlds, and
He went there. He's in Vegas.
He's there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. He's there, and he decided, you know what, I need to do something about this, and it's not going to be hard for Wizards to ignore it.
Yeah.
Well, they have responded.
Have they?
Yeah. So I can read
Well,
you
should we talk about what Gerry said first?
Sure, I can give you the sort of TLDR.
Yeah, if you can give us his bullet points.
So there is a very well laid out Reddit thread, which currently is obviously at the top of the Magic TCG subreddit with well over 900 responses and 6,300 upvotes. So it's a lot. The current state, let's go bit by bit here. Wizards of the Coast does not pay professional players a living wage. This is in of itself is not a requirement. However, if the goal is to sell the dream of playing on the Pro Tour, there should be something in place to make that worth achieving. Wizards does not promote its players well. Oh, Worlds is this weekend? I had no idea. Which is, yes, very much a thing being said.
There are more than several comments on this thread that from people saying that the only reason that they knew Worlds was this weekend is because the PPR had to be moved to Wednesday.
Yeah. How many people, he says in the same thread or in the same note, how many people can name all 24 players qualified for this year's World Championship? How many could name even 15? If you can't, don't worry, you're not alone. Third point, he talks about WotC's communication is notoriously poor. He then gets into there are not enough Pro Tour invites to satiate the player base.
Basically, Magic is growing bigger than they are
allowing for.
And the prize payouts is something that people have been bringing up for years. That they're trying to position Magic on the same level viewership-wise as something like StarCraft or
League.
Dota.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
Dota,
not
Dota and
League,
League might be maybe a
A
little
little
high,
high, but
I
yeah.
mean,
Hearthstone.
sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And the prize payouts do not reflect that. Yeah.
Next up, number 5, he talks about coverage still being abysmal. Over the years, WotC has received countless feedback, and we have to show for it is an advantage bar. This is the biggest one that I would disagree with him with.
I actually disagree with him on this point as well.
But there is still absolutely room to improve.
Yeah.
And then talking about how people like Alex how do you pronounce his last name?
Bertoncini.
Yeah, Bertoncini are still allowed to play when they are just clearly cheaters.
Repeat offender cheaters.
Repeat offender cheaters. And then he goes into some anecdotes.
There's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot to unpack.
There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of nuance to what he says. I really encourage you to before you comment on our video, read his comments from his words and not our TLDR of what he said. But we're really clued into this. Like, we are friends with pro players. We're certainly friends with people who interact a lot with the pro players, with people who are involved in coverage, and people who work at Wizards, because we work with Wizards. And so basically Gerry's complaints are not news to us, I don't think.
I mean, I don't think they're news necessarily to anyone.
Well,
I think a lot of these things are...
I mean, to the general viewer, right?
I think
to the people who didn't even know Worlds was this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's... I mean, that is on... I think that's the fault of WotC not talking about it enough. Yeah. But it's not like anything he said here is new. I don't think...
Yeah.
I mean, certainly some things... I mean, payment... Like, how much people are getting paid when they win these kinds of tournaments has been a discussion for years and years and years, and coverage has been a discussion for years and years. Those are the two big ones, right?
And this year, they've put more money into prize payouts than any other year. But
some would argue that's still not enough.
Yeah.
Right? They still are not making the kind of money that I think they expect to. And I think it is... I don't know if anybody... I don't know if Gerry... thinks that Magic can rival that of some of the other big esports, but it can't. But it certainly could always be doing better than it is, and that's the case for most things. There's always room for improvement. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about on this one.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think the idea that the things in his post are not new is, like, that's inherent, because it's gone from being like, these are things I don't like, to these are things that I can no longer really tolerate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the gist of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, now this has gotten to a point where he doesn't want to participate in it.
Yeah, I mean, he's said that they have talked. He says basically that pros have talked to Wizards about this for years, and Wizards has said, this is what Gerry's saying, that Wizards has said, okay, yes, we hear you, and then done nothing. And so now it's to a point where Gerry's like, okay,
Yeah.
then I'm making this stand.
And this is a big stand. Like,
Yeah.
we mentioned it at the start, but like, it
24
would be,
people.
It'd be really easy for him to be like, here's this big long Reddit thread, catch me this weekend playing at this tournament.
Yeah.
But instead it's, no, I'm just not going to play. And I mean, again, the tournament has just started. It's being broadcast right now. They have addressed it in a very, like, basic 2-paragraph corporate.
What was the...
I
mean, I don't, like, with the time that they had, I can't imagine
yeah.
anything other than a very basic corporate 2-paragraph response.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I can get the proper... crap, where is it? I literally just saw it. Do you still have it, Paul?
Yeah.
Because I have a video of it, but not the transcription.
Yeah, I've got the
Cool, if you could read it.
transcription here.
Thank you.
Because this is Rich talking.
So this is Rich reading off of the response that WotC gave. This is not Rich winging it. This is WotC giving Rich something to read.
Earlier this morning, Gerry Thompson announced his intention to not participate in the Magic the Gathering World Championship. While we wish that were not the case, we respect his desire to make his voice heard. Many of his criticisms are aimed at areas we are actively working to improve. Pro player consultants are working directly with us to shape and mold the Pro Tour Club. 2 additional Pro Tours a year raises the overall prize pool, and commentators like Paul Cheon and Simon Gertzen are seasoned pros who provide engaging commentary. This weekend we'll celebrate the amazing competitors in Las Vegas and crown a 2017 to 2018 Pro Team Series champion and a 2018 Magic the Gathering World Champion. There is still room to grow, and this is going to be a big year as we continue to improve Pro Magic in 2019 and beyond.
Yeah. So, I mean...
Yeah, that's about... I mean,
That
that's a good response.
Yeah.
That's about what you'd expect.
That is exactly. So, I don't know, man. We don't unfortunately have the time. I think we could probably spend episodes on each one of his points. But yeah, is tricky.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the point of their response was the Pro Tour ambassadors, I think they're called, or they mentioned the WotC. The WotC statement there mentioned communicating with directly. Sort of, they have like, I don't know the term for it, but they call them, ambassadors, which is like a direct line of communication between pro players and Wizards.
Right.
And Gerry addressed that in his initial post, being like, yes, these people exist, but so far nothing.
Yeah.
So far nothing has happened, and I don't know why. Given the history of all the feedback people have given Wizards with nothing happening, I don't know why this would be any different.
Yeah. So it's in his FAQ. Won't the pro player ambassadors help with these situations? He says maybe, but I doubt it. Pro players have had regular meetings with WotC officials at Pro Tours for a while now, and very little has come from it. Our feedback is heard, but rarely implemented. If I thought having a pro player ambassador would have been more of the same, or wouldn't be more of the same, I would have happily applied myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, it all comes down to how much power these people have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like,
Wizards' response does sort of, is the addressing the coverage point does sort of like throw a bunch of commentators under the bus a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Jerry's point about like, find commentators that know how to that know the game and can present it engagingly, and Wizards is like, well, we have Cheon and Simon Gertzen.
Yeah. Who it's just like who are great.
They're great. I love that Simon Gertzen is on more commentary, because I love his commentary and I find it very insightful.
Yeah.
But Marshall knows his shit, man. I'm not just saying that because he's a friend. Like he really knows what's going on, and knows how to present a stream really well, as do all of them. Like,
I mean, the problem is that
I think Riley Knight's hilarious.
the problem. The biggest problem that I have with when it comes to coverage is it varies too wildly between their events, right? I don't like, and I realize that the solution here is unfortunately just money, really, when it comes down to it. But when the problem is that when somebody tunes into this tournament this weekend, and sees what a Magic tournament should look like. And then tunes in next weekend to GP wherever.
Right.
The difference between this weekend and next weekend is night and day. And I'm not saying that every GP needs to be at the level of Worlds or Pro Tours, because that is just unrealistic. Like, I don't think there's any tournament, any series in the world that does quite that level. Even Dota, for instance, right? Like, every weekend's tournament doesn't look like the Invitational or International. That would be silly and a giant waste of money.
Yeah.
But it could look better. So, yeah. I don't know.
well, I mean, yeah, this seems like a question of like, what do you want this to be? Then do that, right? Like,
So
if you want to have pro players, then they need to be able to dedicate their time to doing this, and they need to be paid better.
Yeah.
Right? Like that seems like a reasonable complaint.
So like I said, by the time you're hearing this, there will have been a whole weekend full of discourse. So maybe we'll talk about this again more next week with the benefit of more information. But this just happened this morning.
Yeah.
And so if we didn't talk about it at all on Monday, it'd be like, well, what about this thing? So
I will say that I appreciate, I think the way that Gerry went about doing this. Now, obviously, I don't know the full story. I don't know Gerry. I've met him once. He was a nice guy. I don't know who he told that he was doing this, right? Like, I think if he had done this like a few days ago, it would have probably been really awkward for the rest of the players.
Yeah.
But coming out the morning of the event and saying, hey, I'm not going to be here, and here is a very reasoned list why, and not just like, lol, you suck, I think was a really, like, I think this was probably the best way it could have possibly been done. I think he handled this as best you could for the strain that you were going to put on this tournament, because he knew what this meant, right?
Yeah.
Like, this means that there's 23 players. This means that every single round now, somebody gets a bye.
yeah.
Right? And that is not what you want at the literal highest level of Magic being played at.
But
like,
at the same time, like, yeah, it didn't put other players
In a
this
position.
awkward position of like, are we all
Are we supposed to do this?
strike? What? Yeah.
Yeah, and
Like, is this a picket line that I'm now crossing?
exactly.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
So I appreciate that because I think had he done that, it would have been way worse. And not for the better. I think this there's no way that this obviously this got the attention of WotC. This
Yeah.
will push the needle forward, which is great. So I definitely commend Gerry for what he's done here because I think it's smart. So
Speaking of smart choices, I don't know. Just last thing,
smooth.
yeah. Last thing before we go is a smart choice from Channel Fireball to their own benefit, but to other people's benefit as well. Is that they worked out a deal with Wizards where if you live outside the U.S. and you want that Mythic Edition Guilds of Ravnica thing we were talking about, you can pre-order it online from Channel Fireball and pick it up at a GP.
Yeah.
You can do this in the U.S. as well, but you can do it outside the U.S. So if there's a GP in your area, there's an opportunity to get the Guild's Mythic Edition.
yeah. So
That doesn't change all the other things we talked about when we addressed the Mythic Edition last time.
yeah.
But
But
it's-
at least it's a little bit better.
Yeah. They also said that they are moving towards doing their selling directly to Target, Walmart, and Amazon, as opposed to those places getting their Magic product from distributors.
Right.
So it's going direct from WotC. And they put up an article again this morning about sort of that they're doing that because they're basically are like, look, this is how a lot of people get their stuff.
Yeah.
And we can't just sit here and ignore it. But here are the things that we're doing for the local game store because the local game stores are super important to us and we don't want to screw them over. You know, stuff like the signature spellbook, which I hope they do more of because I love the Jace one and I want to see more of those. You know, things like that, premium products, those things will still be LGS exclusive stuff. But if you just want to buy a booster box, I guess you can get one on Amazon.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, lots of stuff. And we'll probably have to revisit some of these in the future. But for now, that is going to do it for this week. If you are desperate for more Guilds of Ravnica content, like I said, worry not. This week on the YouTube channel, we have 2 more chats very much like this about the PPR with members of Loading Ready Run and our out-of-town guests. And we have 2 more deck builds with Sam and Jordan.
Yep.
And those will also be up on the YouTube channel between now and the pre-release this coming weekend. So check that out if you're into that.
And if you're looking for the VOD
Yes.
on YouTube, that's over on our replay channel at youtube.com/loadingreadylive.
Link in the description.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for joining us, everybody. A reminder that we are brought to you by cardkingdom.com. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR for all of your card needs. And everything is brought to you by you and your kind support at our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. So until next time, I am Graham,
I'm James.
and I'm Cameron.
and we will talk to you again soon. You hit one of the cameras.
Damn it.